Hello, welcome back. Chaotic Corp Season 4. I'm your host, Jordan.
I'm your co-host, Apollo. I'm going to introduce our special guest here, Chris.
Hello.
He-
Welcome back, Scott. Pretty much, been here all season.
Hey, thank you for letting me back here.
Yeah, he wasn't
It's
in
good
the
to be
last
back.
episode.
Good to be back.
You weren't in the last
Scott
episode.
sounds like that one guy that got kicked out of a bar, and they're just like, "Yeah, you're not that bad." Comes back in, he's like, "Thank y'all for letting me back in," and then proceeds to get kicked out again.
I kid you not, we had those people at the bar at Bucks. I kid you not. Those people were hilarious. I was like friends with those people. They were hilarious. Some lady actually stole glass cups and decided, hey, if I return these, can I come back to the bar? And the bartender was like, hell no, get the hell out.
Why would you try to
Sure.
return them? Just keep them.
I don't know, but she legitly, I think she threw one at the wall and it shattered. And
nice.
and then she ran out before the cops could
Nice.
come. It was a lot of fun that night. Anyways, so last episode of Loki, very sad, very good episode. Sad to see it go. But we do have a little bit of a surprise about the show at the end of this episode of this podcast. So stay tuned all the way through. In the beginning of this episode, we get a really cool view of. There was a name for that little.
And spoilers.
Yeah, and spoilers. There you go. There was a name for that little floating island, but I can't remember what it was.
The Citadel.
The Citadel.
Yeah, Citadel at the end of time.
Yeah, and you get a cool glimpse of literally, time itself, the sacred timeline in the back of the Citadel, which is really cool.
I find it interesting. I guess it's more of a stylistic thing than anything that it's flowing in a circle instead of just a straight line
That's true.
like it normally appears to be. That it's in a circle, but I don't know. I don't want to get too deep on
Well,
that.
Don't get too deep.
I think it could be like that time is infinite, and if it's in a circle, it's never ending.
If you-
Yeah, true.
If you remember from Endgame, I remember Tony was trying to do time travel, and he said something about give me a Mobius circle,
Strip in
a Mobius.
Mobius strip inverted.
Yeah, and it was
that's a
literally a circle. It was in a loop. So
Yeah.
I don't know if that has
I'm
anything
not
to do
too
with.
versed on what that means.
Neither do I, but
Relativity, all that stuff. I'm not too versed on that.
But-
Well, not at all.
Oh, good old Neil deGrasse Tyson. He can explain it for us. Hold on one second.
all right, we have
Oh,
a
yeah.
special guest, Neil deGrasse
Hey,
Tyson,
Neil!
everybody. Meow. Anyways, love that. So here they are, and they're walking up to the front gate of this giant mansion. And I like how Sylvie's like, well, aren't you going to tell me not to kick in the door? She was very unsure of walking in there herself. I guess she was a little scared of finding out who they were going to find, I guess. Because if you're controlling time, the guy's got to be pretty powerful, right? So I guess she was a little scared. And then she's like, I gotta get prepared, so give me a minute. And before she could even take a breather, the door opens and they walk in, and they're on high alert. And the first person that you see that I didn't expect was Miss Minute. And of course I made the
Yeah.
joke that Miss Minute was the end boss to Loki. But which would have been kind of funny.
I was almost thinking that. I was like, the little animated talking clock is,
The AI.
controlling all this. I was
Right.
like, yeah, no,
I-
this has
I-
got to be.
I said this from the very second episode anyway, that Miss Minute is the real menace here.
Oh yeah, you did. I'll have
Yeah.
to, I'll
She
have
is
to
a
find that.
menace.
and
I
quote
thought her
it.
name was Miss Billy or something. I don't even know
Billy.
why, but yeah, I meant Miss Minute.
Oof.
I've said it multiple times. I feel stupid, but the point is, I was like,
Yeah, we
yeah,
know.
this thing's a menace.
That's funny.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks
You're
for
welcome.
I did have a theory. I did have a theory that she was, in on it, because she was really acting weird in the last episode.
Oh yeah.
I get because Sylvie kind of had her and Ravonna at the throat, but still she was acting too suspicious, So I don't know. So
I feel like probably at that point she was actually in contact with well, I guess we'll get to that, but
we'll get to that. But yeah, I know actually what you mean. So you have
you
Miss.
know who.
One clearly she knew more than anybody else did, which was
Oh
funny
yeah.
because I thought like, oh, this little cartoon mascot's just like, hey, like let's go out and review our today's lesson, and but she's like Mickey Mouse with Disney. She's like, she knows all
Oh
those
yeah.
dirty
She's
secrets.
literally
See,
the evil
I
man.
thought they
She's not
just
just
got a
some cute little
variant.
music.
I just thought they grabbed a variant of like Walt Disney himself and forced him to make cartoons for him.
Oh no.
Maybe.
Maybe.
I mean, that would make sense.
I'm not
wouldn't it?
ruling that out.
That's Scott's not even gonna think about that one.
I'm not ruling that
he's
out.
not going down that rabbit hole.
That's where Walt Disney really is.
Down in the rabbit
Forget
hole.
that. Forget that whole frozen head theory. He's really in the TVA, just
Oh.
making cartoons for him.
Oh no. So I like how we have Miss Minute literally preaching to them about how they could have all this power. I really especially like how she goes up to Loki and she's like, if you wanted to, you could win that battle of New York. And you could see him really thinking about it. But I knew
Yeah, he was thinking.
he was thinking.
Like,
I knew
when
that deep
he
down
was
he was kind of a changed person, that he wouldn't do it. But yeah, he was definitely thinking about it. And then she said, how would you like the Infinity Gauntlet? How would you like to kill Thanos? And that's, I don't know, he was just thinking about all this stuff. And then I can't remember what he said. He was like, we create our own futures.
Yeah,
We
creator,
write our own destinies.
something like that.
Yeah,
We're in charge of our own destinies now.
yeah, I like that.
Oh yeah,
So,
something to that effect.
something to that effect. So
I'm pretty sure that was the exact quote.
No, you're probably right. You're probably right. And then
As usual.
as usual, and then we have, then she goes away. I all these theories about who it could be at the end of this episode, and I noticed that she said he, and I had heard theories that it was going to be these two people called Then and Now, and I also had heard a theory that it was going to be the One Above All, which kind of would have made sense at the same time. And Scott, I don't know if you knew who the One Above All is. I think I was trying to tell you about it. The One Above All literally technically created all of the whole universe. There's the Beyonder, and then I think above the Beyonder is the One Above All. I'm pretty sure.
Interesting.
It is interesting. DC has their own version of the One Above All, and I don't remember what his name is, but he's a little bit more creepy than. It's a guy in a top
I want
hat
to.
and a '60s suit and tie, and he's got a lantern.
Oh, I was thinking of Dr. Manhattan
No, not.
for some odd reason.
I know what you.
I'd have to look that up.
I'll have to look. You could probably look up the One Above All counterpart DC or something, and it would probably come up. But anyways, so after they had their whole little talk, after she was trying to, I guess you could say, turn them to the dark side, she goes and ends up talking to Ravonna, and
That guy. Okay, yeah, I know who you're talking about. He's called Presence. Yeah, that is
the
weird.
Presence. The Presence. He's a little. I don't know. He's a little creepy to me. I don't know. So then we have Miss Minute talking to Ravonna, and she's downloading some kind of files onto her TemPad that I guess he and the one that shall not be named yet gave her.
He remains.
He
Oh.
remains.
Now I have a theory about that, but go on.
I want to hear it at the end.
I do
Okay.
too.
And I was thinking, I was like, I wonder what. Now I have a theory. Damn it! I was like,
I have a theory too. Way to go.
We all have theories.
way to go, Tristan.
We might all have the same thought here.
We
Go
might
on.
all have
we
the same thought.
probably do,
We-
honestly.
But I said it first, so I want to say it.
Yeah, you'll
No,
say it
go on.
first. Okay, shut up. Anyways, hostile man. Anyways, so I don't know. It was kind of weird. I was wondering like what kind of files that he was giving her, because in the end,
Yeah, it was kind of weird that it was like when she got the files, when Miss Minutes gave Ravonna the files, and then Ravona's like, "These aren't what I asked. This isn't what I asked for," and Miss Minutes was like, "He thinks these will be more useful," and then
Right.
Ravonna's like, "Who's he? Who?"
That debunked my theory that I thought that she was in on it.
No, she's not.
Yeah, I mean, Miss Minutes ended up being in on it, but not Ravonna. But because like I said it in the
Which
previous
makes
episode.
sense, honestly.
Yeah, I was saying that my theory was that maybe she didn't know, but deep down she did, and she just had some of her memories locked.
Maybe.
And that she was slowly unlocking them, but only because he was allowing her to unlock these memories slowly and slowly. But then that
Right.
kind of just...
Oh, kind of what like Professor Xavier did in like X-Men with like Wolverine
something
and like
that, yeah.
the Phoenix Force. Okay,
Yeah,
I like that.
But this whole episode kind of just debunked that whole theory. Still, it was still still cool to see. And then Mobius comes through the door, and he's waving that stick around. He's like, "I'm gonna fucking prune you." he's really upset. Of course, he's like, they're still good friends, and for some reason, she's mad at him. Real all emotional, and he's the one that got pruned. So I don't, but of course, I think it was that she was claiming that he was the one that got, that he was the one that betrayed her when he was saying that she betrayed him. Which I didn't really get. Could someone elaborate on that?
Basically, she probably felt like that she was betrayed because he didn't uphold the mission of the TVA.
Yeah, and then he said,
forced her hand.
Yeah,
that's true. Because I mean, Ravona's still like, I mean, Mobius have been brought to light. Really, he sees past the TVA and everything, but Ravona's still in it. So yeah, to her, that he's the betrayer.
She said mission, and then I was like, what exactly is the mission? Mobius even asked, what is the mission? Because everyone's just variants, so
Yeah.
It I don't know, it's still confusing to me, but I guess we'll find out later. But so he tries to attack her because she's like, you're no threat to me. And I was like, damn. It was like, you better show her, Lightning McQueen. And of course he tries to attack her. He tried, and
he got shut down.
He got knocked on his butt.
Yeah.
And, yeah. So, he's like, just do it. Like Dr. Manhattan style. Just do it. Sky, you should know what I'm talking about.
I do. Unfortunately, do.
So then, I can't remember exactly what words were said after that, but before she ends up walking through a portal,
she said, sorry, go on.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Mobius asked her like where exactly she was going, and she said, and I quote, "In search of free will."
Yes.
Now, here's what my theory was on her temp pad, is that the guy knew once the Lokis showed up, the guy knew exactly like what was going to happen up to a certain point. Either that they were going to take over or they were going to kill him, and multiple universes would spout from that. Now, what I think he did was to make sure, gave her the information, like, okay, go to this timeline, make sure that this happens.
Yes.
And, and then all of a sudden the timelines will split. I think that he ensured that the Conqueror versions of himself would be born, and that they would learn their lesson had they killed him. And if they didn't kill him, then obviously that would have been a branch that they would have fixed. But
that wasn't necessarily my theory, but that's a good theory nonetheless.
That's not my theory either, but that's an interesting thought. I like that.
All right, let's go next. Who wants the theory stick?
So my theory was
theory stick.
I was gonna say, before everyone keeps going on to their theories, we did see them walking through the corridor. I want to go back to it, don't worry. We see them walking throughout the mansion, after, it cuts back to them, and then, they're looking at these statues. I noticed that 3 of them were the original 3 time wizards, right? And then, but one of them was like broken on the ground, and I had a thought that maybe it was his own statue, but for some reason he just destroyed it. And you could see that there's dust everywhere, and then we see and hear this door opening, but it was an elevator, and out comes this guy. I don't actually know the guy's name, but it is Kang. But I'll get back to that. Voice crack. I'll get back to that as to why it is and also isn't Kang. So yeah, basically it's Kang, and I didn't really think that they would do this early, but I like the way that they did it. So I just wanted to introduce people that we did see a version of Kang. So who else had a theory?
I'll
That
go
was
if you don't
my
mind.
theory.
What?
Someone
That
flip
it
a
was
coin.
that it would be Kang.
What were you saying?
Oh,
Oh, you had
see,
a theory.
And that
That
was
was
just kind of
yeah.
the popular theory, and that's what
That
I
was-
thought. I don't know much about the comics, so
It's okay. You're learning with us.
Oh, you're a bandwagon.
Oh, Tristan, don't
Shut up.
bring
Here we
that
go
up.
again.
listen
Tristan,
here.
Okay.
don't bring that up. Okay, someone tell me their theory, please.
So my theory is that the judge lady, she is a female variant of Kang the Conqueror,
That's
and
an
she doesn't know
interesting
it.
one.
and like she's gonna go, like you said, ensure that all of them are born, and that she's born, so that way she can take over. She can lead the TVA to make sure that it actually happens, and that everything goes back the way it was.
That's an interesting one. I like your 2 theories because yours kind of piggybacks off of Tristan's. I appreciate that.
That's a good that honestly that's a good theory.
I like both of your
Thank you.
guys' theories so far. Tristan, not so much. Well, no, I did like it, but it's not what I was thinking. That's all. That's what I was trying to say. Sorry, I'm not trying to say that your theory was shit or anything. It's good theory.
Tristan, your theory
He
sucks.
is.
Get out.
Hey, Scott's words, not
True.
mine. Scott's words,
No,
not
just
mine.
we're completely screwing with you. I loved your theory.
Well, did you have a theory, Chris?
I don't. As far as like, I had a theory that it would be Kang or a version thereof. I don't really have a theory past that though.
Okay. Well, okay, so let's, keep going. And then eventually I want to talk about how I think it is and also isn't Kang. So, here they are, they're finally meeting him. The one who remains. We'll call him that for right now. And
Yeah.
because in this whole episode, he doesn't actually officially address him as such.
He has a little line about like, people call me many things, a king, a conqueror, whatever.
He
But
said a ruler.
I think it's just like, oh yeah, ruler, a conqueror. I think it's best to just call him the he who remains for right now. Though.
Yeah. This, I'll get back into it, but so, they're going up into the elevator, and I like how Sylvie actually tries to attack him, and he immediately blips behind her, and then all over inside the little elevator. And then I'm just like, wow, like, it didn't even look like he touched his own tempad at all. And then, there's a reason
Yeah,
for
no,
that.
he kind of flickered.
He literally just flickered, and then he flickered like up into his actual office at the top of the tower that you could see outside the whole mansion. So they're up there with him, and I guess basically introducing themselves. Or not so much really, but he's trying to like have a conversation with them, and Sylvie's over there giving them the death stare, and then Loki's just like, okay. I don't know, it was kind of funny. I think that he starts explaining that, the reason why the TVA exists is because of him, of course. And he says something, I can't really remember exactly what triggered it in my mind to think this, but I do think that it is, I guess you could say a good version of Kang, but he calls himself the one who remains because he doesn't want to be Kang the Conqueror, because he did mention that there was a multiversal war with just all these Kangs of himself, versions of himself from different universes. He goes on this whole thing about how it all started, that he was born in the 31st century, and I can't remember. I think he said, I don't even know how it exactly started. I think he said he was studying
I
the universes.
remember it, Jordan. If I can.
Go ahead.
Yeah, basically, like you started, he was saying about, how he was born in the 31st century, and he started figuring out the universes were stacked on one another, as he put it, and around the same time, I guess, in the other universes, the other versions of himself were also figuring that out. So then they started visiting each other, started sharing knowledge, stuff like that.
Yeah, there was a whole piece.
And then eventually some of them got power hungry, and then multiversal war.
Yes. And then I think he said eventually I think he said that he met this creature that he didn't name
The
yet.
Eliath.
Yeah.
He met Eliath.
Yeah.
He found Eliath.
He found Eliath, and then he started doing tests and experiments, and he said that he actually weaponized Eliath. I think because of the entire multiversal war between himselves, I think that's what caused Eliath to come out of the shadows. Or just to be created.
Okay.
I think that's what he said. He literally said that Eliath would consume space and time at the same time. So, and then he said that he weaponized it and used it to end the multiversal war, I guess, leaving him as the top, the only one left. And the reason why I thought that, this is Kang, a good version, but he doesn't want to be called Kang because of everything that happened. I think he would like to just be classified as
the last one, he who remains.
He who remains, literally in the name. So yeah, good point, Chris. And I like the way that he did it too. He used his TempAD and he gave us a little
Yeah, he used
show.
the little. Yeah, which I found interesting that everything in that mansion is that black, which is gold. Not even accents, just the veins.
It could technically
so
be from his TempAD.
It could be just a whole. It probably is.
It probably is
just
just a
of
whole
that little
TempAD.
TempAD.
Yeah, it could
because
be.
it's made of that same material.
It looks like
and
it
his little projections were all that same color.
Yeah, that's a pretty good theory. That's a pretty good thought. So of course, while he's he finally finishes talking about all of this, and then he stops immediately, and this is where I got a little worried because but before that real quick, he actually pulled out these pieces of paper because they didn't exactly believe him, and he showed them that he knew
basically just showed him a chat log.
Exactly, and what would happen at this exact time and this exact time. And he explained, how do you think I know exactly when to avoid your attacks? Because Sylvie was, while he was talking, she was being rude and trying to kill him.
Went over the desk and went straight for his throat, and he just
jumped
backed up in the chair a little bit.
Yeah, he literally blipped, and he proved it to him that basically he's in control of everything and that he knows what's gonna happen when it's gonna happen. But then, like I said, after he's done talking about all this, he stops and looking around the entire room as if he's sensing something. And then he says, we've crossed the threshold. And I'm immediately thinking oh no, did something happen to where he can't tell time or the future anymore, or did he literally just run out of I don't even know.
Time
juice.
Not time juice. I don't know. I didn't want to make it sound lame, but he literally couldn't keep track of what was going to happen next, as if he didn't get that far or something. And that kind of astounded me. I kind of thought that something like this would happen. In my opinion, it's kind of cliche, it's all these two people, this was supposed to happen, and then somehow it's just all of a sudden not supposed to happen. I don't know. It's a little weird to me. But he literally tells them, he's I might have fibbed. It's like, I lied.
I just lied about
I don't
everything.
know I don't know what the hell is gonna happen in the next 10 seconds. So that was a bit crazy. And then he actually tells them, he springs this idea, but he's been having this idea, like, I guess all of his life, that he's old, he's tired, and he needs someone to take his place. And he suggests
He needs a break.
those two. And I was like, oh, okay, that's going to be pretty interesting. What was your guys' thought on that whole moment?
I think he was very desperate. No one would pick Loki, the god of mischief, to be like, yeah, bring order to like the entire thing.
He spoke to him as if he knew him personally.
Right,
Because
of course,
basically
but
he's
I
been
feel like
watching-
he was still desperate. He was
Oh no,
like,
he was
yo,
definitely desperate.
I'm done with this.
Yeah.
No matter, and he obviously didn't care because he was like, y'all could kill me and like,
Yeah, exactly.
everything go to
Yeah,
hell.
Exactly.
That's fine.
He literally
So
said, you can kill me. Let the branches flow. Or you can take control of it. And then, Sylvie starts accusing him, trying to kill him, and then Sylvie's being stopped by Loki, and he's like, maybe he's telling the truth. I like how he says, I'm a liar, and I don't feel like this guy was lying. Because Sylvie called him a liar, like, a couple times.
Yeah.
And, of course, then they kind of break out into a fight. She accuses him of wanting the throne, wanting all of the power. She wants to kill him. He wants to keep order. How can you can't compete with that? You got to try and recruit her to your side, or all is lost. So, they're throwing magic at each other, trying to hit each other with their swords. And then,
Which I will say, that was a very well choreographed fight.
That was really
it was
cool.
a pretty good fight, I'll admit. And then the thing that I thought wouldn't happen, but at the same time I kind of knew that it was coming. They eventually stop and look at each other, and he's trying to convince her of everything, that that he's not a liar, that he's Loki's trying to convince Sylvie that he's not a liar, that he doesn't want to see her get hurt, that he wants her by his side, and then she actually kisses him. I don't know, I kind of half expected that to come in like earlier in the show. Not gonna lie.
I mean, you kind of really figured after like episode 4.
She kissed him, then she dissed him. I was so
She
upset.
literally threw him through a portal. She grabbed.
Literally they had like that touching moment, and then she just
Yeah. She literally used her magic on him. Yeah.
But I find it interesting how she could also use the magic to like just create a kind of I guess more of a concussive blast, I guess
Kind
you'd
of
call
like a
it.
force blast. So, probably my favorite part probably in this whole show, after she concuss blasts him through the portal back to the TVA, it closes and she immediately starts heading straight for the one who remains, and literally like throws the desk to the side with like ease. She was pretty angry. You could see it in that push.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool. And then he's all like giddy, and he's laughing because he's so desperate. He just wants this to be over. You can see it.
Absolutely.
And she's like, "Aren't you gonna beg for your life?" And he says, "I could." And then she shoves the knife through his heart. And can anyone remember what he said as he was in the chair?
Oh yeah, like see you soon.
Yeah, he said something else after that, I thought.
Something like that
he's-
in Latin.
No, I think he was speaking English, Scott.
Was he?
You're still stuck in episode 2.
I mean, I've got my laptop up right now. You want me to like go back and look?
I mean, you could do a little research.
Basically
I'll
said
do it.
see you soon and then winked.
Yeah,
Do it.
and then he just died, and then she's
Oh,
kind of
okay.
she's kind of realizing like, geez, what did I do? As the whole place is kind of like rumbling. And then you look outside.
What have I done?
Yeah, what have I done?
What have I done?
So then she looks outside, or the panel, you know, pans over to the outside window, and you can just see the entire sacred timeline. It immediately just became like an entire, you know, tree just splitting off into different sections. The whole sky was just a strip, and now the whole sky looks like an entire like nebula galaxy. It was really cool, but like you just know that all hell is like.
Alright, if I can interrupt.
Do you think that's what Secret Wars is about? Oh, sorry, go on.
I want to talk to you about that, but go ahead, Chris.
If I can interrupt, I just went and rewatched it, and basically, yeah, as soon as Sylvie stabs him, he just says, "See you soon," and then kind of lets out a little chuckle, and then he's dead.
Okay, I didn't know that.
thought he
Okay,
said
interesting.
something else, but I guess not. But
No.
to answer your questions, I had a theory about this entire thing. Now, the whole thing, and I'm sure everyone's heard about it, the whole thing with Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield appearing in Spider-Man 3 with Tom Holland, if anything, this kind of more or less confirms it for me. They've kept it under wraps. They have not said
Confirms the possibility.
Yeah, it's a bigger possibility than it was before. Of course, it was just starting out with the fans, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, this would be so cool," because they, you know, everyone heard that Doctor Strange was supposed to be in it, and then from Doctor Strange, it's Doctor Strange from Spider-Man 3 to Doctor Strange into the multiverse. They're connected, you know. The whole possibility of them possibly being in Spider-Man 3 is even greater now than it was before because of this whole episode.
Wouldn't make sense though. Like they're all variants of Spider-Man, you know, and
Are you
like
saying that it would or it wouldn't make sense?
I think it would make sense because it like makes sense. Like, oh, there's all these variants. That's how they explain it. Like, oh, Andrew Garfield, he's a variant of Tobey Maguire, and Tobey
Right.
Maguire is a variant of Tom Holland, and so forth.
Right.
Clever.
There and
Marvel.
and I'm thinking,
Or just like a branching timeline where, oh, the spider bit, you know, this person or the spider. I think it's more likely that's like a branching timeline of the spider bit. He bit Andrew, he bit Garfield Spider-Man, or he bit Maguire Spider-Man, or well, yeah, it's still
or there's also Silk, because Silk is a thing that not a lot of people know about, but there's
you're
a
talking
theory.
about the female like she's
No,
like
no, she's Asian.
Asian, yeah, the Asian like
It's-
Spider Girl.
Yeah, Asian Spider Girl basically. But you know, she is her own person, because there are female versions of Peter Parker as Spider Girl, and then there's Peter Parker, Mary Jane had a kid, and she became Spider Girl. There's those two things, and then there's fully like Spider Woman, and there's Silk. There's just a whole list. But those are the main known ones.
All that stuff.
Yeah. So there's the possibility that, you know, that Silk may become a thing where Peter Parker got bit at the same time as Silk. Not the same spider, but in a different, I guess you could say, you know, I don't want to say country, but like in a different place other than wherever. You get what I'm trying to say.
I do.
But, you know, that they were bit at the exact same time. So that's also a possibility. But I also want to throw this in there, that it's a possibility that, and I didn't think about this before because I didn't want to think about it, but now it kind of makes sense, that What If could actually be connected to the MCU, and that it's not just there for fun. Because people have been contemplating that Doctor Strange is going to be in the episode where Peggy Carter becomes Captain America, where she gets the super soldier serum, and then Doctor Strange goes into that multiverse trying to fix things, right? And he's looking at Peggy Carter with the shield, and he's like, "Why do you have that? Who are you?" And she's like, "I'm Captain America," and he's like, "That's not right." You know,
this ain't right.
That's not right.
Hold on.
So
she's like, what? Then she'd be like, you know, like, oh, a woman can't be Captain America. Harris, you know, like that.
Yeah, exactly. And all the more reason for the Watcher to come out of the shadows and really start like observing like closely, because of all these alternate realities, trying to figure out like, wow, this is cool, this is cool. Totally, basically, the Watcher's literally like fangirling, right? So
I was shocked that the Watcher was not the Time Lord Keeper man.
that's not
'Cause
their
that would-
purpose, though. I understand where you're coming from, but that wouldn't have.
That's
made
not as
sense.
per. Okay.
Yeah,
Because it would have made sense. Because like I was thinking, oh, he's like watching. He makes sure that like everything goes in
I get
order.
exactly what you're talking about. It is confusing to get them mixed up, but it's not a bad idea, but that's just not that's just not.
It's just
canon.
not.
They literally-
Thank you.
They literally don't interfere.
Huh.
I actually
Yeah, they do sit there and watch.
They literally sit there and watch. I literally was told today that there was an event called Original Sin in the comics, and the whole purpose
Oh,
of Original
yeah.
Sin was that the Watcher is killed. It is the duty of the Watcher to observe and to not interfere. Like, I remember when Black Panther and Storm got married, and the Watcher was actually there to observe that wedding because it was big. It was Wakanda and like X-Men were like joining forces, kind of. Not exactly, but it was their worlds were kind of combining because she was a previous member. But in Original Sin, the Watcher is killed, and the Watcher has so much information that if it got leaked out, all chaos would just let loose. Like, worlds would be destroyed and everything. And it talks about how and what exactly happens because that information actually did get leaked. Things about people that before they were their previous lives, before they became a superhero, or this and that about their families. Like, I think there was one specific thing about Peter Parker that no one knew, and information about him got leaked before he even became Peter Parker, or Spider-Man, I mean. I don't know, it was just kind of crazy. So, I don't know. My theory now is that What If is potentially canon to MCU, and then it's not just there for fun. So that's just my theory.
Maybe.
I would agree with that theory.
Yeah.
I would agree. I would agree with it, but the only problem I see with saying that it is canon is, I mean, I know I said earlier I don't know much about comics, but what I do know about the original comics What If series was it was just like Stan Lee and all the other writers going, hey, it'd be funny if this happened, or like this happened. So I feel like it's just kind of that it's like
For fun.
that exploration of, oh, what if this happened, or what if this happened?
Right.
I feel like it's just kind of that, and it's not actually like canon to the MCU or anything else.
It's just
kind of a fun exploration.
Either way, I'll still
This.
definitely watch it. So.
Oh yeah, no, I'm definitely watching it. But
Yeah.
it'd be cool to watch. But
Yeah. So then the episode kind of ends off with Loki going, through the TVA, running, looking for Mobius and B-15, and here they are talking about all the different branches and that new branches are coming about. And she said something really weird. She said something about him. I don't remember exactly what she said. Does anyone remember?
She said, "Does he really want us to let the 63 branches go?"
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That kind of like off put me. Until we figure out what happens at the very end, which we'll talk about. But we see Loki. He finally catches up with them, and he's like, there's this guy who is all powerful, and more versions of him that are going to be even worse are going to appear and take over, and he's terrifying and all this. And it's really something to see Loki like that terrified of someone, considering how like cocky he is and how how he is, and
right.
So then
Hulk.
the scariest thing happens where Mobius is like, who are you? Like, you need to calm down.
Well, you figure it out. You're an analyst, right?
Yeah.
He's like, wait, Mobius, it's me, Loki.
I started to freak out
Who
over
are
that,
you?
and then it hit me as soon as Loki turned around and saw, instead of the 3 time wizards, you just saw a picture. You just saw a statue of Kang in his comic book accurate suit, but minus the helmet, which was really cool. And Loki just, that's just where it cuts out. He's just staring at the statue, and then he's kind of realizing, like, oh, that's how, like, time worked really
That's
fast.
not right.
That's not right.
I thought it was like he met like a variant, and like all the variants are starting to bleed in now. Like there's like 1,000 like Mobiuses running around.
There's a potential that maybe she pushed him into a different universe where he didn't meet Mobius.
Okay.
But, the good thing is that we are getting a season 2. You didn't have to listen to the whole podcast to figure that part out, because Marvel actually, released that earlier today. But, it's good to watch the podcast.
Yeah, because I was looking. It was funny. I was looking through like the end credits because I just kind of, hovered over the little bar and was looking at the little frame. I was like, okay, there's no end credits, and I just decided, I was like, hey, I'll just put it right here and we'll just see.
Right.
And then I saw the little stamp, and I was like, oh.
This is the first.
I think I didn't miss that.
Yeah, like Scott said before, this is the first MCU show, not Netflix show because they're not canon to the MCU, but this is the first show that they've had so far that is going to get a season 2. What was that for, Scott?
I'm starting to get invested in it because I know my brother really enjoyed Daredevil, and he said it was an excellent show.
Oh,
and they're
yeah.
excellent shows on
They did Netflix,
jobs, but like
they did a good job on some of those shows, but
it sickens me they're not canon.
yeah, I mean, I don't think it would work out the way that they introduce the characters. Like they'd have to introduce them a specific way, But
Oh yeah.
But anyways, what would everyone rate the whole show, or at least this episode?
This episode, I'd give it a solid 8, and the series overall, I'd give it a 9. They really went in a different direction than I completely thought. I was very surprised at how well they did it. They actually really made me care about Loki and his whole backstory. So I'd give it a solid 9.
Tristan?
It was pretty solid. I would have to give it like a solid 9.5.
What about the whole show itself?
The whole show itself, it was I didn't really like the way that it, well, I don't know. I have mixed feelings about the end.
Well, okay. There's no problem with that. That's what we're looking for on this podcast, different opinions. What would, if you had to rate it, what would you rate
Honestly,
the whole show?
if we didn't get that whole...
What were you going to say, Scott, real quick?
I was gonna say, honestly, if we didn't get the whole like season 2 thing, I probably would give this like an 8 or 7.
Oh yeah, I would give it a lower rating, but but Tristan, back to you. If you had to rate it, what would you rate the whole show?
I would rate it the whole show probably like 8.5.
Okay. What about you, Chris? The episode and then the show.
I'm a Scott, or I'm pretty much the same as Scott for the episode 8, and for the whole show 9. I definitely.
Yeah.
I like seeing, as I'll say again, not having read really, any of the comics, I like seeing new characters. It's just nice to see.
Oh yeah,
honestly.
definitely.
I like having new characters and all that to watch and all that. So definitely 9 for the whole show.
All right, well, this has been season 4 podcast Chaotic Corp. Loki. It was a very good show. Mixed feelings altogether. Different opinions. Overall, you can't say that it was a bad show. It was full of adventure, full of passion. I loved it. Of course, I still had mixed feelings about it, but I just can't wait to see what's next to come. Of course, I think the next show is Hawkeye. Hopefully, can't wait to see what they do with Hawkeye. Cause, hopefully, if everything works out, Hawkeye I would like to do a season 6 on Hawkeye, and season 5 being Star Wars Visions. Well, thanks everyone.
I'm excited for Visions.
Oh yeah, so am I.
Star Wars and anime combined.
Oh yeah, definitely. All right, everybody. Well, thank you for listening, and I'll see you later.